En este año, el 2020, tenemos la oportunidad de transformar nuestro futuro político. Tenemos la oportunidad de elegir jueces que van a restaurar equilibrio y justicia en nuestros tribunales. Tenemos la oportunidad de arreglar los sistemas rotos que hacen daño a la gente más vulnerable. Tenemos la oportunidad de elegir jueces que tienen empatía. Si trabajamos juntos y nos unimos con una visión colectiva, podemos recobrar nuestro Estado. Vamos a ganar porque tenemos que ganar. Tenemos que parar el odio, la inaccesibilidad y el sufrimiento. Tenemos que asegurar que todos tengan las oportunidades de adelantar. Nuestra causa y nuestro movimiento tiene que ver con la restauración de la justicia y la expansión de la oportunidad para todos. No podemos llegar a esta meta a menos que trabajemos juntos. Si no trabajamos juntos para traer cambios permanentes a Texas, no podremos llegar al fin para continuar formando el movimiento más grande que hemos visto en Texas. Les pedimos que se unan a nuestra pelea histórica. Juntos vamos a crear un estado donde todos podemos tener una mejor vida para nuestros niños. Juntos salvaremos a Texas y en turno a nuestro país. Los invito a que se unan a nosotros. Muchas gracias.
Demócratas, durante esta elección, todo está en juego. Tenemos la oportunidad de cambiar la historia y elegir demócratas a todos los niveles del gobierno y ampliar el acceso a la atención médica, apoyar a familias trabajadoras, fortalecer nuestro potencial de energía renovable y mucho más. Pero, si vamos a cumplir nuestras promesas, tenemos que asegurar que todos los tejanos tengan la oportunidad de votar. Si tiene un plan para votar en esta elección, primero tiene que asegurarse que esté registrado a votar y registrado en su dirección actual. Afortunadamente, el Partido Demócrata tiene una página en línea que se llama registertexas.com, donde puede iniciar el proceso de registración en línea. El último día para registrarse se está acercando, así que no debería de esperar hasta el último momento. Desde el principio del proceso de registración, vamos a estar con usted y no tiene que preocuparse. Primero, tiene que ir a registertexas.com y ahí le ayudaremos a llenar la forma de registración o actualizar su dirección actual. Se lo enviaremos por correo y llevará toda su información y también con un sobre de devolución pagado. Después, le preguntará por su dirección de registro y su fecha de nacimiento. Elija continuar y llene la forma con su correo electrónico y su número de teléfono. Confirmaremos si ya está registrado y si no, no pasa nada. Para eso estamos. Siga por todos los pasos, asegurando que toda su información esté correcta. Y es todo. Tiene que estar atento cuando el sobre llegue por correo con su forma de registración, que va a venir con toda su información y el sobre de devolución pagada. Y no se le olvide, si tiene alguna pregunta sobre el proceso, llámenos a nuestra línea de asistencia a votantes. Ese número es el 1-844-898-6837 y ahí podemos guiarlo durante el proceso. Durante esta elección, vamos a asegurar que todos los tejanos elegibles tengan la oportunidad de participar en nuestra democracia. Adelante.
broadcast.
Interpretación en español está disponible. Para interpretación, haga clic en el icono del globo terrestre en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Interpretación en español está disponible. Para interpretación, haga clic en el icono del globo terrestre en la parte inferior de la pantalla.
Ya no te extraño, me dueles a rato.
We have to build a wall.
Es diferente.
It's like an invasion.
Y justamente.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Y si hablamos
When somebody's the president,
de decepciones,
the authority is total.
la tuya creo que ha sido la más fuerte.
We have it totally under control.
A tal grado
This is going to go away without a vaccine.
que quedé casi al borde de la muerte. Pero en paz sin ti.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Thank you for joining this Biden-Harris campaign via Votar South Texas virtual bus stop with Tom Perez and John Leguizamo. And now, please welcome Jacqueline Uresti.
Hi, y'all. Thank you for being with us tonight for the South Texas virtual bus tour. We are so excited to have you with us today and for your support in turning Texas blue. We are now the largest battleground state in the country because of you. We are so excited to have some very special guests with us tonight. We have Representative Vicente Gonzalez. We have State Representative Mary Gonzalez of El Paso. We also have DNC Chairman Tom Perez and a very special guest, John Leguizamo. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce John, who many of you know as an actor, but he is also an activist and a community leader, and he is here to help us turn Texas blue. John?
Well, thank you. Thank you. What a pleasure to be here with you and everybody here in Texas. I love Texas. Texas is an incredible place because, you know, it really should be blue. I don't know why it's purple or purple, whatever it is, because 40% of Texas is Latinx and 12% African American. It's crazy. I mean, I know it's gerrymandered to death and voter suppression, and it's impossible to register people without it being a felony. So obviously they don't want us to vote. But if everybody saw La Cagada de Anoche, the show of last night, we saw that Biden came out with decency and actually some platforms and tried to speak about some plans and you know that's why I am for Biden, because we need to save the soul of America, and I believe Biden can do that. And I believe Biden is reaching out to us, the Latinx Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Colombians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans. Did I leave anybody out? Salvadoreños, Guatemaltecos, Ecuadorians, Peruvians, all my Latinx people. And, you know, he's creating small jobs and opportunities for us. He's going to build a Latinx museum with the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. He's going to make sure that the education field is equal for us, because that's where we will find our power and get our power, is if we're all educated and our kids have the opportunity to reach the gold standard colleges in America, so they too can be super successful. So that's why I'm for Biden, because I know he'll take care of the Latinx community. I know he won't be saying the things that Trump said. He won't be caging up children. He won't be separating families. I know he's going to help us find a way to keep our dreamers. I know he's going to find a way to allow legal immigration to happen, because also Trump is blocking legal immigration from Latinx and Black countries to America and making it impossible to naturalize. And I need to protect my, most vulnerable community, and that's the undocumented. And Biden's for LGBTQ. I just find myself so excited thinking that Biden could win, because I know it'll be a different America. It'll be America where we're unified, where he's not sowing division, where he's not insulting, demeaning ethnic groups, where he's not denouncing or condemning white supremacy, the Proud Boys or QAnon or KKK. I mean, I can't believe what I saw last night. How do I sit there with my son and my daughter and tell them that this president doesn't include us and he's for white supremacy? How do I sit there and look at my kids and not feel afraid when Trump won't denounce white supremacists who are terrorist groups who are committing the violence at the protests? There was protests happening in my community and on my block on Fifth Avenue, and they were peaceful and beautiful. Everybody was 6 feet of separation and distancing and with masks, and that's how we need to respect protests, because that's what American democracy is about. And Trump doesn't want to allow protests because they're usually against him. So like a dictator, he throws tear gas at them, or he incites violence, white supremacists to come down and shoot people at a protest. I don't know. I feel like this is the most important election of my lifetime, and Biden is my choice. And I know he'll make America the place that I feel safe in, that I feel comfortable in, that I can succeed in, and that everyone who looks like me can too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. We appreciate your support. And that was really heartfelt to hear why you support Joe Biden, why we need Senator Kamala Harris, and why we are going to turn Texas blue. And I know you have spent some time down here recently at the RGV. I think you went to UT RGV as well and spoke to students down there. And that's what we need, because we can be a blue state. We can turn Texas blue, but we have to vote. And we need you to vote. So we really appreciate you being with us tonight.
Yeah, so people register on I Will Vote, register on Voter Pal. There's so many ways to register and register others with Voter Pal. You just hand the phone over. It's an app. You download it and you hand it to people you register, because in Texas, it's a felony to register people if you're not deputized. And the office is only open like twice, 2 hours a day or something like that. And they give you a tiny locale. And if you if you register people outside of the deputized locality, it's a felony. So if you use Voter Pal, you just hand it to them and you let people register, or you find the app on their phone and you let them do it. So register everybody you can, your tía, your abuela, el fulano, el primo, el que te odia, el chismoso, el jodón, whoever. Register them all right? Much love. Love you, Texas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just to feed off that, the last day you can register in Texas is October 5th. So don't forget to register. You can register at mytexasvotes.com. So now I know a lot of y'all watched the debate last night. And as John mentioned, watching that debate, it was clear what leaders will do, they will lead and they can get us past this pandemic. And so we have a few guests with us today to talk about the debate, to talk about the importance of the Latino vote, to talk about how you can help get your friends and your families registered before October 5th. And so I'd like to introduce Joseph Ramirez, who is the former Nueces County Party Chair. He is also the Latino Deputy Constituency Director. I'd also like to introduce State Representative Mary Gonzalez, who represents El Paso, Texas. She is one of our freedom fighters who has been fighting the good fight at the Texas legislature for us. And I'd like to pass it over to them for a conversation.
Thanks, Jackie. Super excited to be here. I think the debate last night shows why events like this are even more critical. We have to make sure that we're not only protecting our communities and fighting for our children and the next generation, but literally this election is about saving democracy in this country. And as a legislator who has a large veteran population, for me, that is really important that we're honoring all the sacrifices that our veterans make so we could live in a healthy and vibrant and diverse democracy. And if we stay home on election day, or if we don't do all that we can, we really risk that. And so, Joseph, I'm so glad you're here. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Representative, for joining us here today. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you to John, who was really, really motivating, especially after yesterday. You know, we saw one thing for sure last night, that there was one leader on that stage, and it wasn't the one who flew in on Air Force One. Joe Biden did exactly what he set out to do in the debate. He spoke directly to the American people about issues going on in our life and his vision for the future of the country. He demonstrated leadership and compassion, and he said he'll bring our country together to address the challenges we face. And that's something that's very important. You know, we've been hosting, you were on our Latinas for Biden that kicked off Hispanic Heritage Month, Representative, you and some other reps. And we've had several events since then. For example, on National Voter Registration Day, like Jackie said, October 5th, Monday, it's the last day to register to vote. We had a good friend who's an ambassador of the Tejano Democrats, Little Joe from Little Joe y La Familia, who spoke about where we've gotten to right now as a people, as Latinos, as Mexican Americans, as Hispanics, how we've gotten to where we are right now from when he started his activism 40, 50 years ago. And it's important that we remember the sacrifices of those that came before us. It's important that we understand that people have fought battles for us literally to just get out here and vote. You know, the women just celebrated 100 years. It's only 100 years here earlier this year. So like you said, Rep, what's on the ballot is the battle for the soul of this country. But it's also to maintain the victories that those that came before us, that we maintain those victories. You know, one of the biggest battles right now, I guess today, is the fight for the Supreme Court, and everything that the notorious RBG fought for is at risk. You know, those were battles that were fought and won, and we cannot give up this easily where we're at right now.
Yeah, Joseph, I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, and especially what we need to see in Texas is our community voting, right? And that our Latino community is actively participating in the democratic process and getting out to vote. One of the things I read is that with the power of the Latino community, it really is in our families, making sure that our families are voting. I mean, I'm the oldest of 11, so I already have like all these votes ready. And so how are you engaging the Latino community in your area to make sure we're voting?
You know, the way we grew up, and I'm looking at some of the folks that are on the call here, you know, from Houston and Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, Laredo there, Corpus Christi, Robstown, our own backyard here. And if there's one thing that we have in common with the folks that I see here on these calls is this. I've heard many of the stories, you know, from the many years of campaigning. you always hear this, our parents, our family members, our grandparents, whoever raised us, took us to go vote as kids and instilled that responsibility into us. And some of that, I think, has died down. Some of it has continued. But I think if we continue to do that, where we start within our own family, look what John said earlier, call your tias, your tios. You hear anybody that's running for elected office, before they get off of any stage and pass any microphone, they're going to ask you for their vote. But they don't just ask for your vote. They say, I need you to vote. That's good. But I also want you to, bring a family member, call your tias, your tios, your compadres, your comadres, the neighbors, like John said, the chismosos, las chismosas, bring them along. That's how that's organizing. We were taught to be organizers at a young age. We didn't even know it. So, that's, I think, step one. That's something that we can do right now to start engaging our communities, start engaging our families, to get out there and go vote. And then it grows from there because, I reach out to my network. That network is going to reach out to another network. And it goes and it goes and it goes. And that's how we were taught from a young age.
So it was like, I do not want to relive the day after. Like, I remember, as the results were coming in, and the next day I was just so depressed. And so watching last night's debate, I was like, the fact that the current president could not denounce white supremacy is beyond me. Like, our communities need a president who thinks about and cares about communities of color and will be able to articulate the realities of our lives. And so for me, that was the most difficult part of.
Jackie, I think we lost the rep there, but I'll continue. I wanted to talk a little bit while we wait for them to get back on.
I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
No, yeah, I was going to say, my favorite part about Joe Biden was that he was the moments where you're just speaking to me and speaking to the American people, just looking at the camera, and it just felt so good. What did you love from the debate?
When he spoke directly to the camera I think is what I enjoyed the most. But I think what resonated with a lot of my friends that I spoke to afterwards, I guess non-political independent voters, that President Trump was desperate, weak, and angry. He's losing the race. And last night he lost his temper. At one point, I think the moderator even, conceded that and said, hey, you need to quit interrupting. You need to quit, you need to calm down is basically what he was told. And the decorum that you expect from an elected official or, from the White House, from the president, was not there last night. So, I think that stood out. I think it stood out to a lot of the independent voters. I think people are starting to see that there is a lack of leadership that comes from the White House. And that affects us here as Latinos. And speaking with several of our elected officials and county judges and city leaders, we see that COVID has become a problem, but especially in communities of color. Latinos are being hospitalized. Latinos are dying at twice the rate of other races here in the state of Texas. Why? Because Latinos are the essential workers. Latinos are the ones that didn't get to take time off and work from home a lot. They're keeping this country running. They're keeping this country rolling. And so at the same time, they're putting themselves at higher risk for infection and to die. So, I think that having the leadership to actually make a change, to make a difference, to bring a plan forward to fix this is what we need. And that's what we saw in Joe Biden last night on the debate stage.
Yeah, and I think what else he spoke to was people in my district, they don't really want to have a reality TV show. They have real struggles in their lives. And so at least what I loved about Joe Biden, he was really speaking to people and what he wants to do and what needs to happen to take care of everyday Americans who live in this country. And so I feel for our Latino communities, they just want practical solutions. So I am so glad there are so many people on this event, because we need everybody. So super excited.
You know, Rep, I'm looking at some of the comments or some of the traffic that's going on over here. And you know, the question on Latino turnout, you know, what is our plans? And I'm assuming they're addressing that to the campaign, and you know, us as surrogates or elected leaders, you know, they're wondering what is the plan to bring out the Latino vote here for this election. And like I said earlier, it starts off with how we were taught by bringing our tias and tios. But you're in your neck of the woods out in El Paso. You know, what do you have to bring? You know, how do you get your people to go out and vote for you? You know, and it starts with Joe Biden and it goes all the way down the ticket. What are the plans you guys have?
I mean, that's a great question. So I think we know, here's the hard part. We know the best way to get people motivated to vote is to knock on their doors, but we can't do that because of coronavirus, right? And so we have really been using other tools like these virtual phone banks, social media, just really making sure that everybody knows. Everybody knows how important this election is. It's just making sure they have the tools and the knowledge to go out there and vote, and making it really understood that their vote matters. I think one of the things that hurt my heart is a few days ago, I was talking to a friend and he's like, my vote doesn't even matter. I go, it matters so much. And so really talking about some of the down ballot things and like how there's a local school board race here that won by one vote. Everyone's vote matters, especially as you keep moving down ballot. So we've got to come out and vote for Joe Biden and Senator Harris, but also what does it matter if we don't also give them especially if you talk about the judicial nominees, a Democratic Senate so we can get things done, a Democratic House, so protecting the Democratic House, because what we don't want is to put Joe Biden in and there's still a Republican Senate, and then they stop him from getting anything done, and then we are still living in a place of like standoff. We really need to change the conditions for our people and for our communities.
Absolutely. I think we're getting close here to wrapping up, so we'll say a few last comments, to our panelists here, and just express how important it is that everybody on this call or everybody on this Zoom, it's fun to come on here and hear people like John Leguizamo and hear from our national chairman. But at the end of the day, it takes us to get to work. It's going to take people picking up a phone and making phone calls. It's going to take people texting their friends to make sure they get out to vote. It's going to take, we can't block walk because of the pandemic now, but we have lit drops. There's so many ways to be involved in the campaign. What's your call to the action for the people that are listening in right now?
Yeah, I think my call to action is to do exactly what you said. Do whatever you can. I see people who have large families and 2 jobs, and they're still doing what they can. So we can win this election. We can turn Texas blue. We can get a U.S. Senate. We can make the Texas House blue. But it's going to take all of our works. I really encourage you to go to My Texas Votes. That is a great resource for you to use, and as we really make sure we change the leadership and fight for the community and the country we deserve. So thank you to everybody who's watching this. You're amazing, and I'm so grateful for you because we're going to make this happen.
Thank you, Representative. And again, to everybody watching, it takes a village. I see my former colleague, Chairman Medina from Bexar County, who I would work with when I was also chairman here of Nueces County. And, it's not just a catch line, but stronger together. When we all put our resources together as a region, as a state, that's how we're going to be able to win these elections in Texas. And that's how we'll be able to turn Texas blue and be taken serious like we are right now. There's a lot of investments coming into our state, and we can't take them for granted, and we can't let people down. The eyes of Texas, or the eyes are on Texas right now. And we have to make sure that we show up. And we do that. We do that by getting out there and working hard and taking whatever information we get from all of these virtual meetings that we've been attending, and put them out there into real field work. Once again, thank you, Representative Gonzalez, for being a panelist here today. And I think I kick it back to Ms. Jacqueline Uresti.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Representative Mary Gonzalez. We are glad that y'all were able to join us. I think one of the most important things to discuss or to mention is that if you need any information, that you should go to mytexasvotes.com. You can still register to vote until October 5th, but there we also have a very special guest who is going to tell you a little bit about what else you can do in order to help us win in November. And with that, I'd like to introduce Chairman Tom Perez.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, I should say. It's great to be with you, and I was watching with great interest all of our distinguished panelists, a group of serial activists, and I want to say thank you to all of you for what you are doing. It's really it's remarkable, folks. We got 34 days now, but who's counting? I am. 34 days till the weekend. And we have so much that we have to do, so much that we can do. I was in Cleveland last night, and I literally had a front row seat to that debate. And I couldn't agree more with what everybody said, which was Joe Biden was presidential and Donald Trump was infantile. When Joe Biden said things like, you know, this isn't about my family or your family, Trump, it's about everybody's families across America. I was thinking about this visit tomorrow night with you all, because so many families across Texas are suffering. So many families that look at the COVID pandemic and the impact on Latino communities. Look at the loss of jobs, loss of lives. Look at the impact on kids trying to go to school. And this president last night, it was all about himself. It was all about distracting Donald once again. And it highlighted, again, the stakes. And folks, I come to you with the sobriety born out of the fact that we have the most dangerous president in American history. And I come to you with unrelenting optimism because, folks, not only can we and will we win the White House and make history with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but I am quite confident that we can make a lot of history in Texas. My good friend, Gilberto Hinojosa, your state party chair, he's working tirelessly. All of you are working tirelessly. And I said, I want to come to Texas in person after we take over the state house, after we flip so many congressional seats, a Senate seat. And I want to go to Delia's Tamales, and I want to celebrate with all of you. Having to do this virtually is a necessity right now, but I can't wait to celebrate with the two T's, tamales y tequila. That's what we have to do after this election. But you know what? In the meantime, we've got so much to do between now and Election Day. And one thing is clear, which is the Latino vote in Texas can be, and I think will be, the difference maker. You look at the numbers and you look at how much progress was made in 2018. 800,000 more Latinos voted in 2018 than in 2014. That is remarkable. But we still have so much more opportunity. And all of you have been working your tails off in this effort to make sure that we are turning out the vote, because that is how we will flip the State House of Representatives. That is how we will flip so many congressional seats. And in your discussions, it's so important. I feel, Representative Gonzalez, I want you to be in the majority. That's what we need to do. And that's what we can do. And we can do it if we continue the relentless organizing, leading with our values, talking about the issues that matter most. And we know for so many people in Texas that the issue of healthcare is front and center. Look what this president's trying to do right now. They tried to undo Obamacare in the Senate and the House in 2017 when they had the majority, and they couldn't do it. So now they want to rush through a judge who will help them do in court what they can't do in the court of public opinion. That is unconscionable. And folks, it's really important. We've got to educate everybody. The healthcare is on the ballot on November 3rd, and healthcare is literally on the docket of the Supreme Court 1 week later. And so we have so much to do between now and then. And folks, it's so important to make a plan. That is what we say. El voto latino puede ser la diferencia. Cuando votamos, ganamos. Todavía hay más que 3 millones latinos en Texas que son elegibles votar. Son elegibles votar, pero todavía tiene que registrar y todavía es muy fácil votar, es muy fácil registrar si no ha sido registrado antes. Y lo que tiene que hacer es tiene que ir a voyavotar.com, voyavotar.com. Wherever you're living in the great state of Texas, go to iwillvote.com. That is one-stop shopping to get all the information you need about voting. And folks, as you know, there are different options to vote. I like having options. You could vote in person on election day. You can vote in person early. You can vote by mail. Choose an option. Make a plan. Early voting starts on the 13th of October. It's so important, though, to make a plan. And don't wait till November 2nd to make a plan. My late mother, God rest her soul, love her dearly. I remember growing up, she was the world's most incessant procrastinator. I remember Christmas time, around the 22nd, she'd start doing the Christmas shopping. Mom, 3 days before, why are we waiting? It's one thing to do a little procrastinating in terms of getting Christmas gifts, but you know what? Voting is too important. Make sure we get out there and make a plan. I am so impressed with what is going on in Texas, the organizing, the energy, everything. And folks, it's impossible to overstate what's at stake. Remember the first day of Donald Trump's campaign. Recuerda el primero día in Nueva York at the Trump Tower. Remember what he said. Remember what he said, literally his first day, about Mexican Americans, rapists and murderers. From the first day he started, he demonstrated the disrespect for our community that continues to this day. You know, separating kids from their parents at the border, that's not about right versus left. That's about right versus wrong. It is wrong to do that. And Joe Biden has made clear he will never do that. He has made clear that he understands that soñadores están en la boleta. He will make sure that dreamers can dream here in America. He will make sure we pass comprehensive immigration reform. He will make sure we get a handle on COVID. We can't fix the economy until we fix the pandemic. And this president cannot seem to understand that. Joe Biden understands our community. I've said to him many times, I've known him for a quarter century, Mr. Vice President, you are an honorary Latino, and here's why. You are all about familia, fe, y comunidad. It's the unspeakable tragedies that he has endured in his family, not once but twice. And it has simply tested his faith. But he has not only a great faith in God, but he has a great faith in the American people, in all of us, to realize our highest and best dreams. And he understands that our rich diversity is exactly why America's great. And he understands that community is what it's all about. It's about helping each other. And so that is why I come to you with real excitement. Last night, I was literally sitting about 8 feet from Donald Trump Jr. And I look at the whole family, and it's like looking at a cast of a C-list movie, and their absolute disdain for everyday folks in this country. We can do so much better. That was an embarrassment, what that president did last night. And his entire presidency has been an embarrassment. Now, between now and the 3rd of November, he's going to continue to try to distract. He's going to continue to try to sow chaos, because chaos is his currency. Don't let it distract you. Don't let distracting Donald distract you. Él quiere que nuestra comunidad tiene miedo de que votar. That is what he wants. He wants us to have fear. But you know what? We all have hope. We all have determination. We all have optimism that Joe Biden can do this. But we also know that we can't do it without the Latino vote. And that is why I'm so proud to be with you tonight. That's why I'm so proud to work with your chair, Gilberto Hinojosa. And that is why we need your help. So go to voyavotar.com. Make sure you're registered. Figure out what your plan is. Make that plan early. Find 10 or 20 of your friends who are also eligible and get them to make a plan and vote. We can win Texas. We did a debate in Houston, Texas, one of the earliest debates, and I said there, welcome to Battleground Texas. I said that a year ago, and people thought I was crazy. Now look at the polls. People don't think I'm crazy anymore. We can do this in Texas. And the way to victory is with the Latino vote. So thank you so much to all of you for what you're doing. If you looked up serial activists in the dictionary, you would have all your pictures on it. And I am so grateful for what you are continuing to do. Adelante, vamos a ganar. It's so important to remember that cuando votamos, ganamos. Y nuestros números son nuestro poder en Texas y en todo el país. Thanks so much for allowing me to be with you, and let us go together. Adelante, juntos podemos.
Thank you, Chairman Perez. Thank you for being with us tonight. We're now going to kick it over to our organizing team, who's going to get people who are on the phone calling voters tonight. So Amanda, thank you for being here with us tonight, and thank you all for watching.
Hey, you all.